Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Myron Wallace. I'm here to discuss with everyone Supercharge, work from anywhere with our co-partner here, Vonage. So a little bit of a review of the topics we're going to discuss today. We're gonna go through a bit of introductions about myself and Sean with Vonage. It's on the call with me today. We're going to discuss remote challenges, how remote solutions have enabled the work from home anywhere really technically with technology today. We're going to go through a demo on a use case, and then we're going to open up the last 10 minutes for Q&A. So I would ask throughout the webinar, please post questions throughout it. We'll address them at the end when we get to that time. But thank you everyone for joining. So a little bit about myself. My name is Myron Wallace. I work with Red Pocket as a UC product advisory member, and I've been in the UC comm space for 20 plus years. Started in the hosted communication space, and then it went to the term cloud, PBX and cloud collaboration. Been in everything from telephony to healthcare to contact center. So there's not a lot I haven't seen in the industry. Outside of that, I'm also on a couple of boards with UC Irvine and their Technology and Transformative Leadership Advisory Council. So, another thing that I wanted to touch on is a little bit about Red Pocket and what makes Red Pocket so unique. The company was originally founded in 2006, and it's a different kind of wireless company. There's a lot of confusion out there around, what cellular companies provide and how they all work with one another. Some of you may already be customers of our solutions, and if that's the case, thank you. If not, we look forward to having you as a customer. We serve on most of the devices that you have. So if you're using a Android or iPhone device and you're on one of the major networks such as T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon, that device is likely compatible with our network if it is unlocked. And you can bring that to us. If not, you don't want to keep your device, you can always buy a new device. All of this can go onto our networking. You can choose the network that works best for you and your given area. One of the things that we're pretty proud of at our company is we're American owned. We're best in class wireless solution that allows internet and data. So any iPad that you have can also come over to our network. So I'm going to turn over to Sean and tell us a little bit about yourself, Sean.
Perfect. Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks, Myron. So I'm Sean Barsin. I've been with Vonage now for over 7 years and had the opportunity to work in multiple areas within our organization and really see the organization evolve over the last 7 years or so. Specifically today, so I'm a sales engineer, solution engineering manager, specifically for our SMB space. So our focus is really on, enhancing digital transformations within, small and even medium-sized businesses. So it's really an area that I really enjoy and am passionate about, really giving small businesses and medium-sized businesses, not only the digital tools, but the opportunity to really have a footprint that really previously was only seen with enterprises. So we really have provided the tools and the solutions to allow these types of businesses to really reach their customers in very dynamic and different ways, and allow their customers to choose, the way that they want to communicate with that business. So happy to be here today and kind of dive in a little bit more on how Red Pocket and Vonage are able to partner together and really bring something special to our customer bases.
Thank you, Sean, and thanks for helping us here with this webinar today. So, some interesting things around remote challenges came about, obviously, when the pandemic hit. If we would talk about that for just a moment, not everyone was set up for the right systems and collaboration technologies for their business. And it sparked the notion around, how do we set our business up so we have business continuity in place to empower the work from anywhere culture that we've kind of had to embrace over the past few years. And we're sort of getting in this mode of the hybrid approach right now, where people are working from anywhere and also going back into the office a few times a week just to have that human interaction and or, just collaboration in the same room. But, with technology, that's broken down the barriers around having access to communicate with everyone across the different modalities that we see here with presence, collaboration and mobility. And what we're specifically highlighting here today is with the right network and the right device, mobility limitless, creates the opportunity for you to work from anywhere that you're at. So this relationship between Vonage and Red Pocket is about, getting Vonage on your mobile device and or your laptop or tablet, whatever device you're using, and giving it supercharged access to a mobile network that empowers you to work from anywhere that you desire. So, something that, one of the things that, we're starting to see also is, if you look at the UK recently, they announced that they have a 4-day work week, and they're trying it across a few different companies. So, that's also going into the hybrid space where folks are going in, 1 to 2 days a week to that office and then working outside that. So if you're, in that type of mode, you have to have some type of solution so you can communicate effectively with your team. Sean, anything that you would like to add here, and any points that would be relevant about the work from anywhere culture?
Yeah, I think we've seen with, obviously over the last couple of years, and I think we're still, still not quite in the clear that, mobility and remote work has really become a pillar with organizations. Some, even Vonage included, we're kind of looking at a hybrid work model, but after two and a half years of really just remote working, without much break in between or the opportunity, to go back to the office, we've gotten really good at it. And businesses are, new businesses are opening up with that methodology that they've seen that people can be successful, working remotely. And in all honesty, a lot of times they're happier, right? And then it allows businesses to even kind of have a further reach into, employment and finding folks that aren't necessarily within, that zip code or city limits, that would need to drive into the office, that have that capability. Maybe somebody, out in Silicon Valley, for instance, if you wanted to go that far, I'm here out of Atlanta, we now have that opportunity. And again, Vonage with our product, our business product, allows for those organizations to function without skipping a beat. So no, I really just kind of agree with everything that you said there, Myron.
What do you think, Sean, from the perspective of some of the biggest challenges you've heard so far, with this remote from anywhere type approach?
Yeah, I think there's definitely challenges that exist. I think there's kind of different lenses that you could look at that question through, right? So one would be from an owner's perspective. I think owners, especially within the small business space, have always been and really thrive when they're hands-on. So I think letting go a little bit for them is somewhat challenging, and becoming more reliant on technology to, be able to manage some of those things that they would be the ones that would really be in control of, kind of being your eyes and ears in a sense. And we'll go over that in our demo of the Vonage product, and really show some of the technologies and the advances that exist that allow these owners to really have visibility and create accountability with their employees. Whereas maybe, pre-pandemic, that was something that they had to do kind of face to face. I think on the flip side, for, employees, for staff members, it takes some getting used to be able to work remotely. And so I think there's a level of self-responsibility there that exists, and finding your routine. Even myself included, I think I've read a lot that sometimes it's actually challenging to step away from your computer. That seems to be something too, is finding that work-life balance. What is that? I think a lot of folks were finding, just with some of the research out there, that people are actually working more. Not only are they more productive, but they're working more. So it's finding that balance that exists between the two. So those are kind of the two angles I think I would take with that question, Myron.
Yeah, I think that's really good insight. Thank you. I think that really ties nicely into our next slide about, missed opportunities, right? So I think that, when you look at, we've become, the norm is to use your mobile phone now for almost every interaction we encounter throughout our daily lives. And, up until the pandemic, a lot of folks did not know what the QR code was. And the QR code really spiked and gained momentum, as an example around this. So I think that, when you talk about the different modalities in communication, these are some interesting statistics, like 58% of missed calls are responded to via a text message to ask and inquire what the call was about. And not all those phone numbers are textable. So, in the Vonage solution, there's ways that you can set up your main business telephone number to have textable access. So you're not missing that communication. And there's different things you can tie it to, even from an automation perspective, that will give you the empowerment to run your business more efficiently. The other thing I think is really interesting here is that, 68% of businesses surveyed, across, the industry said that having a single vendor and a single platform is crucial, in their business decision around selecting a new solution such as Vonage and Red Pocket. And I think that this really ties into what we're trying to do here today as a collective group is, deliver a solution to the market that is both a mobility solution as well as a collaboration suite that gives you access to, mobile network technologies and unified communications. The next statistic is, it's a forward-looking priority when you think about the industry, is that, 4 in 10 organizations plan on implementing some form of AI. And that stands for artificial intelligence. And it's kind of a buzzword right now in the industry, but what does that actually mean? And I think that what that means to me is that, for example, if you have a textable number for your main business telephone number, you can attach things to it to respond back to someone to say, thanks for inquiring, we have received your message, what can I help you with? And those type of bot experiences can be tied, to those numbers. I would ask, Sean, anything that you'd like to add here that around these statistics that would be relevant from your points of view?
Well, I think number one is, 64% of statistics are correct. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's I love it. This was really fun, looking at the data and really kind of looking out and researching and finding, what are these statistics? And a lot of this is very new data. I think most of the ones that we looked at specifically for this webinar really originated around that 2020 mark, again, kind of right around that pandemic. And so we're really starting to see this shift with technologies. One that I'm going to highlight as well in the demo, if you kind of look at that 58% statistic, it was really interesting to me. And it's something that I actually use in my day-to-day as I'm designing solutions for my customers at Vonage, is I like to ask the question, first of all, how do your customers want to communicate with you? And you get a myriad of different answers. And I kind of tee it up a lot of times. And I even go as far as saying, well, let me ask you this, we'll be more specific. When somebody texts your main number, which is really, that's kind of your lifeline, right? That's the number that you're advertising. It's potentially on business cards, marketing material, campaigns, so on and so forth. And a lot of times the answer, I like to leave a little silence. The answer is, well, we don't know. And the next step for me is, well, Vonage has a solution for that. And it's a very important communication channel that they're not taking advantage of, even though their customers may be trying to communicate to them. So I think it's really important to understand that 58%, if we're looking at it from a numbers perspective, that's a majority of people are trying to text a main number. And if that number is not textable, you're potentially losing communications, and you might even be losing customers, right? If this is a new customer and they're texting 4 different numbers trying to find, who's going to be my new lawn care person. And if you're not able to respond back, it's probably not going to be you. So I think that's really important there. Another one too that we hear often, I think where Vonage is really a differentiator in our space, which is a very crowded space. And we'll kind of touch on some of the advantages that we offer within the industry, is being able to have a unified platform is really, it's crucial to customers, to buyers, because there's so many applications out there, so many, platforms to use. And we call it swivel chair, right? We want to reduce the amount of swivel chair that's taking place at the organization. And what's really special and I think unique about Vonage is we really pride ourselves on having that single unified tech stack. Our saying right now is Vonage does that. And we certainly do. So when whether it's contact center, whether it's needing the, mobility, mobile applications, being able to set up a conference room, AI, API, a lot of acronyms we could go into, but Vonage does that. And I think it's really unique for us in the space. We're already doing what customers are asking. And I think a lot of folks are really kind of catching up to us in that sense. And then of course, AI, we all know about that. Maybe we don't know about the back end and how it works, but we know that it's pretty special and it's a pretty new technology within the industry. And it's something that Vonage also has. We have a virtual assistant platform that takes advantage of this machine learning. And it's really, it's something that I think a lot of folks are looking to implement, but they're not quite ready yet. But again, what's unique about having the platform that we do is that we give our customers and the buyers the opportunity to grow into our product suite. So again, I could go on all day about this stuff, Mine. I really love it and very passionate about it, but we'll jump to the next one.
I think at the end, we're going to have to need get an acronym list of all the different things for UCAI and virtual assistant, right?
It might be in some of our QA for sure. So we'll certainly be able to answer those questions if those are unfamiliar to anyone.
I think, it ties in nicely, to, our slide before the demo about, being remote and, have the importance of having a solid connection and having really the right technology and the systems in place. What have you seen, Sean, on the Vonage side that would stick out as, what do you hear the most from customers within Vonage around, having mobile access on their tablets and devices?
Yeah, I think we've finally made that shift. And again, kind of the time frame that we've been talking about over the last couple of years. When I first started with Vonage, which would have been 7+ years ago, it was really about that physical desk phone. You pick it up, you put it up to your ear, you start talking, maybe you lean it on your shoulder. At the time, maybe there's a headset that works for that phone. And everything seems to be shifting and really accelerating to mobile. First of all, we're all used to having these supercomputers in our, at the palm of our hands. So we're comfortable using that. We're also in front of some sort of screen, whether it's on your laptop or whether you have, dual monitors. I've seen a lot of pretty impressive setups out there. And people just want to be able to communicate that way. And also, it's funny, we're going to talk about real estate as kind of our vertical or example within the demo, but think about the real estate on your desk. A lot of times you don't have that kind of space. So having a physical desk phone may not make sense. So I've really seen a shift from not only within the technology, but even how people utilize the technology, right? What are those endpoints? And then I think also with mobility, we all know that we're very, very active within our lives. We're going to drop the kids off, pick the kids up, take the dog out, get a prescription. And what's, I think, unique about, unified communications and specifically within the Vonage ecosystem is the application allows you to never be away from your business. Now, mind you, I always tell people, I joke, but I'm also serious. You can always turn the app off. So you don't always have to be working because that balance is so important. But it's something that you can take with you. So again, as a business owner, right? Maybe as that real estate agent, just because you're away from your desk or your computer doesn't mean you're not able to communicate with your clients. So I think that's been a pretty unique shift over the past couple of years.
That's interesting, Sean, about the app, right? Because that allows, the unique opportunity for, if you're using a mobile device on Red Pockets network, you can have the Vonage application installed on your device and keep things separate. So you can have two different identities, right? And you see that across, implementations, I'm sure, just like the main number is textable, that's an identity, right? That's the business can use versus your individual line as an end user on the solution.
Yeah, certainly. I think the partnership is really something special. And again, that combination of technologies, industry leading technologies is really kind of what empowers people to do these types of things within their organization and communicate, with their customers and their clients. And also internally, we haven't talked as much even about that. It's our customers, right? The actual client using the systems, able to internally collaborate, message and call one another, within the contacts and things of that nature. So, it's communication, internally and externally.
Absolutely. Well, I think, with that it goes into our next slide here about, Red Pocket and, the Vonage solution, supercharging, business, for the community. And, when you look at, what we have in our solution, access to all the three networks, there's really, an opportunity to, make the switch and choose the network that works best. And I think that's one of the most unique things that when I first got, the opportunity to work with Red Pocket was exciting to me is that, depending on where you're at geographically, one network may not operate, at its peak performance, whereas another might, giving, there's all kinds of different, reasons why that is, but you can choose that network that works best for you and then enhance that with the collaboration suite. So you can have the entire productivity suite, on your mobile device with the solid network access. Sean, I want to turn that over to you before we kind of dive into the demo here, but how do you see this from your perspective and, the ability to supercharge that for the community and business users out there?
Yeah, I love using acronyms, or I should say really analogies. I think I'm kind of over acronyms at this point, but we look at it like a car. I like the supercharged part. So you kind of look at Red Pocket is the frame, it's the body, it's the tires, and then Vonage is really that overlay that we can really customize and design, really purpose built for the driver, for the user in this case, and be able to put it on top of that frame, that works for you, that Red Pocket driven platform. So I think the two, again, just really seem to pair well together. And again, we're kind of supercharging one another, because without, of course, with us, we are essentially that overlay. We need some sort of connectivity to get you out to the world. And then we are, again, that custom solution on, different ways that you can communicate both internally and externally. I think, the proof is in the pudding in a sense. So yeah, I think this is a really great segue into, kind of showing folks on the call, what does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to get to, the demo. I'm sure all of our attendees are as well. So I'm going to stop share. I'm going to hand over the stage to you, Sean, to share away and show us what you got planned here in the vertical demo for today.
Perfect. All right, Myron, if you can just give me a cue that you can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
All right, perfect. So what you see on the screen, some on the call, I'm sure, are familiar with Vonage, and others may not be. Some may not even be familiar with, what a unified communication solution looks like. So, we'll kind of talk about things high level, and I will make sure that I keep it somewhat brief, informative but brief, so that there's still some time remaining for questions, because we'd love to answer any questions that you may have after the presentation. But what you're seeing on the screen is really two things. So on the left-hand side, kind of the 2/3 of the screen, you're actually seeing the Vonage application. Okay, so there's a lot of options here on this left-hand pane, here in this black section over here. And we'll kind of dive into a few of them. I kind of purposely put this on your screen with team messaging to start off with, because I really want to kind of bring home a point here as we talk about, unified communications, as well as being able to work from anywhere or have that ability to be remote. So let's jump over with your eyes, just move them to the right of the screen, and we'll jump over to the third of the screen on the right side here. What I want you to see here, this is actually my cell phone. So it's actually just a mere app. I'm an Android person. We won't go into details on why I should use Apple versus Android, but what you're seeing here is actually my mobile phone, my mobile device. So this is actually the Vonage application on that mobile device. It is, of course, important to understand that it does work on both Android and Apple devices, so either platform. And of course, same thing with the desktop application. If you are on your computer, we can, of course, work with Apple and Windows devices as well. So that really covers about 99% on either side there. What you'll actually see too, and I see Myron is actually typing, which I think is cool. Thanks, Myron. You'll actually see there too, it even showed that he was typing. So we have that real-time communication that's happening. But I think one thing I want to really highlight for you is this. So you notice that it just popped up on the larger section of the screen. You know, we have Myron here. It was great. Thank you for asking. We were having a discussion earlier about a real estate client of ours in our fictitious job, of course. But you'll notice on the right-hand side, I'm actually going to go ahead and click into this communication. You'll see that we actually have a notification icon. I have to click to it on my phone here. And you'll notice down here that this message that Myron had just sent is also on the mobile device, and that's in real time. So what you're basically seeing is that if I'm working on my computer for the first half of the day, and I need to then get up from my desk and maybe go pick the kids up from school early, and then run to maybe the ballpark, all I have to do is now remove this basically from my screen and now rely on my mobile application here. And the same communication exists. What's really unique about this too, really not just for small businesses, but at least in my space, working with these smaller and mid-sized businesses, is that the customer, the business's customer or clientele doesn't necessarily know that Myron or myself have gotten up from our desk. For them, the communication is fluid, right? So you're not missing any of these messages. I can very quickly, reply back, thanks for replying back. And you'll notice when I do that, it will actually pop up over here as well. So that two-way communication. What I really like on this too, and a lot of our cell phones have this capability today, just on the different applications that come with your device, is you actually have this icon that will show whether somebody has read your message or not. So in this case, I know it's been delivered, but Myron hasn't actually clicked on or read this message. So, probably won't give him a hard time right away, but here in the next 5 minutes, if he doesn't read it, I may actually send him another one and ping him. Of course, on the flip side, now I know he read it, and now I'm kind of waiting for that response. But, Myron, you don't have to worry about doing that.
One thing I think, Sean, that would be interesting to highlight here is you can text outbound, right? So like if I'm if I have a realty group of professionals that are constantly working with, across, showing different homes and whatnot, I can have a group conversation internally. And when that message comes back in, it's visible to everyone inside the realty group, correct?
Yep, that's correct. So we'll actually see here. So let's jump. I want to actually show you the business inbox while we're talking about that. So it's a great point, Myron. So what we started off with was the internal messaging, right? So within that organization, within that business, so that collaborative communication. And now what you're seeing here is, this is what we talked about earlier. So when somebody's texting your main number, in this case, for this demo purpose, the main number ends in 1467. Again, this is what would be on a park bench. This is what would be, on business cards, marketing material, campaigns. So what can happen now is you'll actually see that somebody was able to text to this main number, and I'm actually able to jump in here and respond to these messages. I actually went as far as sending a property listing to this individual that they were requesting, and even a link to that. So you can actually send pictures, you can send links, you can send PDFs, right? So it's really a very unique way to communicate, and it opens up this communication channel that for so many businesses, people are trying to communicate through, but it doesn't exist for that organization.
And Sean, I can have multiple numbers too, right? So if I wanted multiple numbers for my inbox or main number. So if I wanted to separate, like I have these park benches that have this phone number, I have a billboard on the interstate that has, a different number. Those are all different texting identities that I can have for my business.
Certainly. So, we have one number here. You could have really limitless the amount of numbers that you can have on the system. And here I didn't get as creative with the name of the virtual receptionist here in this case, or the auto attendant, we'll call it. So you can actually go as far as even labeling, the numbers or tagging the numbers so that if it's a certain campaign, that you actually see what campaign these numbers are coming through. And we can go as far as even running reports. We actually have the ability to even connect this to Google Analytics. So you can really kind of take it that next step and really get granular. Where are my marketing dollars going that I should continue to invest in? And maybe other areas that aren't as lucrative, maybe we should pull back and shift those funds. So definitely a lot of things. Great point, Myron. A lot of things that you can do with the numbers themselves and identifying where is that traffic coming from. Something else that I think is very important for a business too is, we talked about this auto attendant. A lot of folks too, right now, the phone rings, whether it's during business hours, outside of business hours. If it's a holiday, the phone's going to ring and it's going to ring. So if nobody's there to pick it up, it's not a great experience for the customer. What's great about, Vonage and what we're able to offer, one of many features, I think we're at like 50, 60 plus features now that we offer just out of the box to our customers, is an auto attendant. So it gives a business the ability to actually set their hours of operation. And if I call, outside of business hours, for instance, we can play a unique message. We can create a unique experience because a physical person is not there to answer it. We can use automation and technology to still take care of and guide our customers or our clients through an experience. The next level from there is we even have, for instance, an AI product, a virtual assistant that is actually, driven by AI, which is powered by machine learning. So there's really a lot. You can start small and really kind of evolve your own business and organization into the different systems, again, all on the Vonage platform that you're able to take advantage of. Something else that we're on a different call here, or different video platform, but with Vonage, we also offer Vonage meetings, right? So I think that's something else too, that's something that's out of the box that can be taken advantage of as we think about a realtor in this use case. And I bought a home. Well, I guess it was pre-pandemic, but I sold a home, during the last couple of years. And it was really great to have the ability to communicate to, for instance, my realtor, via text. And that was almost completely how we actually communicated. So this example is really powerful and relatable for me, but I would have loved to have the ability to even have video, right? Because with the pandemic, for instance, there were times that you weren't allowed to go into the home. It was only the real estate agent. So they were doing virtual tours. Being able to have that on video as the agent would have been a very powerful solution, maybe a differentiator even at the time, to be able to walk through a virtual tour of a home and me be on the other end, whether at my computer or mobile device, and have the ability to view that.
Did you during the pandemic with the solution, and when you're walking through like a home and trying to show it as we're talking about the realtor use case here, how many participants can you have at one time on the mobile interface? Is there a limit?
Yeah, so right now we do have a limit, and again, we continue to evolve as an organization and as our products as well. And so it's for video, it's 25, and then for attendees, it's actually up to 100. That would be very busy for the realtor in that use case, but you think of, we drink our own champagne at Vonage, so I'm in Vonage meetings for majority of my days. It's interesting, Myron, because we don't even use a lot of phone calls anymore. We would rather just set up a meeting, even if it's a quick 5-minute meeting, because there really is something special about still having that face-to-face interaction. I know I'm not on video right now on this call for technical difficulties. I assure you that I wanted to, but we'll do that often. And it's, again, it brings, you can think about doing that internally with your folks, but think about doing that with your clients as well, right? You're really able to have, share those emotions, or being able to see your face. And so there's just that level of comfortability that, maybe at one point we kind of lost with the pandemic, but I think we found a way to, again, communicate, as humans, right? And make it very humane. Something else too that we had talked about, Myron, was, the ability to integrate with CRMs. So we have what we call our Vonage integration suite. And I put a few up here, just Google and Salesforce being just two that kind of came to mind. But there's, a handful of CRMs that we out of the box integrate with today. And you'll see how it's actually built into the platform. Again, we try to reduce that, that need to have to swivel chair and go from one place to another. Because when you think about it, you have real estate on your computer screen as well, right? So here you're able to click into Google and, pull contacts or push information into that suite. Salesforce is a big one. We have contact center solutions, APIs, our UCaaS solution that you're seeing here on the screen, all capable of integrating into Salesforce, for instance. So pretty special there. Something else that I think is also a powerful tool, I call it a virtual Rolodex. And Myron, you mentioned this earlier as we were talking through some of the slides, is the ability to say, hey, well, not only do I have my own personal contacts, right, as Sean Barsin, but I also have my company contacts. And I need access to both, but I need to know that I can also separate the two. And so what we're able to do is be able to bring those contacts into one solution. And if you think about your mobile app, for instance, I think it's a really powerful tool. But you'll see here, I'm showing these happen to be internal, right? So Myron and myself, internal on the account. You can see we have extensions. Whereas Jack Henry is a client of mine. He's with Log Cabin Real Estate. And you can see this happens to be, their phone number, right? So this is actually an external contact, one that was actually in my mobile device, or one that I actually added to the system itself. And you can see as I click over, this will actually just limit the view to internal contacts. Whereas I can even go to my contacts and you'll see, for instance, Jack Henry's the only one currently, but you can see we can add those there and separate those. Another tool, and we talked about that briefly, Myron, I know we're coming up on time, want to leave some time for questions, was the ability for, a manager, like a people leader like myself, for instance, or, an owner, a CEO that's having a hard time of, kind of letting go of that control of maybe the business that they always, were really heavily involved with. There's different technologies that we can introduce. Like you'll notice that you have a little ear here, Myron. I don't want to freak you out, but I'm able to actually monitor your calls. So that's what this little ear denotes. So, maybe you're new to my business. I'm still a little hesitant on bringing in new folks. Well, I can not only use this as a way to, see how you're doing, but even as a tool from a coaching perspective, right? So we have a solution called Monitor, Whisper, Barge, where not only can I monitor the call, maybe without you knowing, but I can even from a coaching perspective, whisper, say, Myron, you're close on that one, but go ahead and let them know about this product. And if it has to come to that level, I can even jump into the call and kind of take over, that communication. So again, a lot of solutions out there that exist, and there's even call recording, for instance. And I know that's a big one for businesses, from a customer service and even a legal standpoint, when we work with law firms or even insurance agencies, customers always right. Call recordings will really allow you to just ensure that they were in fact right? So you can go back and check that. Myron, any other comments or anything within the platform that you want us to touch on that you could think of?
Yeah, I think that's really useful information, Sean. Thank you. I think the one thing that I would, say to our audience today is that, the power of linking, the solution with the integrations really unlocks a lot of abilities, to the small business market. Specifically when you start thinking about, the Salesforce integration or tie-ins with Google, being very efficient and fluid in communication is a needed thing, given, that we all have seemed to come to, we expect things to be, responded to expeditiously and efficiently as possible. If you can supercharge, your communication with your clients, through technology, this is a way to do it. I think that, also, having access to, the network of choice really opens up the opportunity, to think about, why wouldn't I want to make a switch to a network where it gives me the opportunity, to leverage, both a better connection as well as a collaboration suite like this to run small business. I think it's very powerful.
Certainly.
So with that being said, I will reshare my screen here, and we'll open it up for Q&A around the platform and different technologies. So if anyone has any questions, please post them into the chat here on the Zoom. There should be a QA button, so feel free to post those. And if not, we can dive into, more follow-ups, like a deeper dive demo about the Red Pocket network access, as well as the Vonage solution together. I think, just something to tie into, kind of the aspect of the today's webinar is that, what makes, the platform different, is that, we have a relationship on the Red Pocket side with Vonage that allows that joined connection for both mobility and UC together. So you're not dealing with multiple vendors across, the different technologies you need to run your business. And, it also gives you the ability to separate out. A lot of small businesses make, a very common mistake of issuing and putting their personal mobile number on, their website, emails, advertisements, etc. Well, there's really not a way to cut off from that as your business scales. And it's a very important thing, to have separate identities around, your main business telephone number and your personal communication. So this would give you the ability to separate those two out. The last, bullet I kind of wanted to hit on today is that, the hardware that's utilized and needed for this, as stated, you can bring your own device to Red Pocket, or you can buy a new device if you so choose. Android and iPhone, we offer both on our marketplace. The solutions are online as well as in every Target store across the country. We have a relationship with them that we're pretty proud of as a business, and that we're going to be your business partner and open up the opportunity for not only you to succeed with technology, but allow you to also partner with us if you're in the realm of looking for solutions to fill out your portfolio, to have something to serve your small businesses. Anything else, Sean, to add there?
No, I think that's definitely covers it. We have a few questions, Myron, if you want me to kind of read them out loud.
Yeah, go for it. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing the questions on my side. I'm not sure why they're not coming through.
Yeah, no worries. I think they came over on my side, so
okay.
I'll be co-host with you. That's part of my role, right? So we have one that says, what can you say about the Red Pocket business plans? So it sounds like somebody wants a little bit more detail about those plans.
So the Red Pocket plan, we have a minimum of 5 devices. It's $150, to get access to the plan. You can bring your own device. that allows you to use across, both Android, iPhone, whatever device you have, and bolting on the Vonage solution in that solution in its entirety. I would ask that, like if you would like to, have a deeper conversation about, how the plans could work for your small business, I think it'd be good to reach out to us at the hello@redpocket.com and schedule a demo with our team and talk a little bit deeper about, what you're currently needing, as well as, what you might see as opportunistic things that you could do with the technologies we offer.
Perfect. So we had another one that came in too. So we have one that says, does the solution allow me to keep track of business calls versus personal calls?
Yes, absolutely. So that's everything that, like Sean showed in his demo today. Business communication is contained within the Vonage application. If you're on an iPhone device, the Vonage application will report into your Apple call log, but it will actually say, that this was a Vonage app phone call. So when you click that missed call or whatever, event in that call log, it will take you into the Vonage app to call back. So you still get to anonymize your personal mobile number and use your business identity, for all of your front-facing communications.
Yeah, I love that. And then I'll expand on it too on the Vonage side, Myron. So on the Vonage side, and just for the sake of time, I wasn't able to show this, but it's something I would typically show on a demonstration or a design call, is the ability to be able to report, right, on this type of data. So whether it be on the calls, there's numerous ways that we can report on that. And that's something I think, again, that's very powerful for an organization or, a small business, the business owner, to be able to understand, like, first of all, what are your busy days, outside of knowing, what revenue was generated. Are you getting a lot of calls in the afternoon? Are you staffed correctly? There's a lot of different ways that we can look at analytics and break those down depending on, the business or the vertical. Another thing too is that you can actually create reports, that are valuable to the organization and have those saved so that they can be sent out, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, maybe at the end of the week, every Friday. So there's a lot of opportunity in there too. We have some great charts and visuals that you can generate within that system, within the report section. So if that's something that anybody on the call wants to dig a little bit more deep into and kind of get a visual, we could definitely set up a demo as well on the Vonage side for that.
Great. It looked like we had one more pop in. I'll take the stage and give it back to you, I think, Sean, because this is a really particular to Vonage side. So which CRMs are integratable in the solution today?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a handful. So as you saw today, Salesforce and Google were the ones that I had on this demonstration. Some of the other ones that come to mind are, we have like Zendesk, for instance, Zoho. Let's see, what are the other ones? I'm doing this just off of memory here. NetSuite is another very popular one. We have a few, let's see. This is a good question. It's putting me to the test. And there's a few other ones too that we have that are really out of the box. I'm happy to give you a list. I have the name, so I'm happy to send that over to you. And something else that I think it's important to realize too is that we do have the ability to integrate really with any web-based CRM. So there's things that we offer too that's called Web Launcher. It's something that actually comes with the product. And if it's a web-based CRM that you're utilizing, more often than not, it'll actually allow you to put basically a search URL within our system, and it'll actually do a screen pop, right, of the caller that comes in. So if you're, let's say, I'll jump into insurance. If you're an insurance agency and you have an applicant or a client that's calling in, a repeat caller, if they're already in your system and you set them up with this product, it will actually populate their client record on the screen when that inbound call comes in. So that's definitely something that's very popular. We also have the ability, if it is web-based, to do things like click to dial, right? So instead of having to type a number in somewhere, you're actually able to click on an icon. It's a little phone icon next to a 10-digit number, and it will actually dial out using the Vonage application.
That's great.
Let's see. I think we had
And
another
you
one
guys
come
also
through.
integrate, Sean, with like the staple like accounting packages, which also kind of maybe fall in a CRM depending upon what type of business you're in, like QuickBooks and it maybe Sage, or I can't think of all of them at the moment, but you guys do have those integrations as well, I believe.
Yeah, and it's kind of, if it's web-based, there's usually a lot that we can do with it. There are things, again, I hate to keep bringing up more acronyms, but APIs. So application stands for application programming interface. I won't leave that a mystery. What that allows you to do is take some of the Vonage APIs and actually build against them with your applications. We work with a lot of folks that have custom built kind of homegrown CRMs. Probably spend a lot of time and a fair amount of money in building those. Again, kind of custom purpose built for their unique business. And so we get a lot of requests to actually get access to the Vonage APIs to actually build some of these communication kind of tools, right, into their platform. So even if it wasn't built by Vonage, against some of the name brand CRMs, we're also able to do that at a more kind of custom level. HubSpot was another one that I couldn't think of, but a really popular one that comes up often with a lot of our clients. So that was another one. I think I got a reminder there, so appreciate that.
Yeah, I think HubSpot seems to be pretty prolific right now in the communities out there for CRM. So yeah, thank you, Sean, for that. Any other questions?
I see one. We kind of addressed it earlier, but I can just bring it back up again. It's just talking about hardware. So what is the type of hardware that's needed? I think between the two platforms, obviously a cell phone is going to be top. And what is unique though is that we have organizations that's all that they need. I'll be honest, it's probably 50-50 between my mobile application and then my soft phone application on the computer or on my desktop. Between the two that I use, I truly don't, outside of testing, I don't know the last time that I used a desk phone since working from home. So again, there's a lot of flexibility with that. We of course do still offer that type of hardware through Vonage. So if you have desk phones today, maybe it's coming from an on-prem system or something that's somewhat antiquated or needing an expensive upgrade, and you want to still maintain and that consistency or retain the phones, we can definitely work with you on that also. So what's also pretty cool too is that we do things based on extensions within our Vonage platform. And so you can have, for instance, for me, my mobile phone, my desktop phone, and if I had my desk phone plugged in, it's set up at least for all of them to ring at the same time. So then I can choose, the mode of communication or the device, kind of that endpoint, if you will, that I want to use for that particular call.
That's
so again,
great.
we give you that flexibility there.
So you have the tablet too, right? So you can really have ringtone overload or alert overload if you're not careful, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
That's the best thing with technology. You can have access to all modes of communication no matter what you're on. So yeah, any other questions pop in? Because I know we're coming up on time. If not, again, feel free to reach out to us at hello@redpocket.com. We'd love to set up a demo and dive deep, on, the technologies we have, across the major networks, as well as our relationship with Vonage, and help you supercharge your business and get you the technologies that you need to be efficient and effective in today's communication environments. Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks for the time, everyone. Really enjoyed it.